Hey guys, so I'm just making this video to vent. I just needed to vent. They've been pounding a lot lately. Yesterday it got so bad, I reported it, and it wasn't something that could actually be caught. In the morning, I woke up to some thumping. I turned my cell phone camera on, and they stopped. And then throughout the day, it would stop for hours, and then all of a sudden a thump, and then a pound, and I'd have to leave the damn thing on 24/7 to catch it. Well, eventually, it had stopped for a few hours, and then really loud right above my head, a pounding, just pound and a thump. It was, I missed it, and that's when I called to report them. But, it's been constant. A few days, I tried to catch what was going on, and it's hard to hear. What they'll do is, what they did on December 4th, too, and I did record it, but for whatever reason, on my cell phone, you can hear the pounding. But when I listened to it after I uploaded it to YouTube, you can't hear the pounding, and I don't know why. I tried with the earphones and without, and I don't know. You just can't hear it well enough. They did it again where they would start, the phone ringing and the pounding at the same time, and then commotion outside all at once. But it's a building pressure, the pounding and the thumping and the light thumping, and it's just, they're like vermin. It's like an infestation. They're thumping upstairs. They're pounding on the wall next door when my mom is sitting on her chair, which was against the wall. We actually had to move it away from the wall because they, when she was sitting right there, they would pound into it, and then they'll pound on our door and run off, or they'll do something outside. And I've reported this crap, and they'll say, oh well, it was maintenance working. But this happens on Sundays too. This happens at night too. No, it's not maintenance working. Effing liars. Anyway, there's that. There's the false prophet who keeps calling, right? And he's working my mom up, and it's having a negative impact. She's starting her crap where she doesn't eat, and she did that before where she wouldn't eat, unless I would make her something, she wouldn't eat at all. She wouldn't just go and get something. And this is not with age. This crap has been going on and off for the last 20 years. And I would have to stay there and make sure that she ate, and But then if I tried to make her something, she would accuse me of trying to hurt her, because she's got, and even back then, before this false prophet started calling, she had these false Christians calling her, and not calling her, but even in her life, they just sought her out. And they were trying to convince her that her unconverted family would be used by Satan to try to hurt her and poison her and whatnot. And, at that point, like 20-something years ago, I hadn't yet converted to Christianity. So, so she believed the wicked, but not the righteous. Okay, she always wanted to believe the most wicked, and she did. So if I didn't make her eat, if I didn't make her something, she wouldn't eat at all. She would starve herself. But if I did make her something, then she would accuse me of trying to hurt her, because why would I be giving her something to eat if Satan wasn't using me to hurt her? That's the logic used, right? It's been a nightmare. And I called her doctor to find out, and this was a long time ago, before we moved here. I called her doctor to find out if the three of us could have a chat. And her doctor was nice about it. She said yes. And then after I did that, my mom canceled everything with that doctor and got a new doctor. I tried to call her pastor and talk to him about it, and he was no help at all. Because I hadn't yet converted, he assumed I was just making excuses or attacking a supposedly good Christian, right? He heaved accusations at me. I had no help. There was nothing I could do with this nightmare. She was also, because she was told that olive oil is holy, she would smear olive oil all over the walls, up and down, like as high as she could reach, right down to the floor. Well, oil collects dust and dirt. So, it was filthy, and people would come in and they would wonder why I wasn't cleaning up, because it was my responsibility, right? But if I tried to clean it up, she would again accuse me of being influenced by Satan, because God likes olive oil. So why would I be trying to clean it off the walls if Satan wasn't influencing me? That's the logic. It got so bad. And I thought, well, after I converted, to Christianity, it would change, and it did. The excuses just changed. That's all. So now again, she's not eating, but what she'll do is, you know, she'll whisper under her breath against me because I don't let her hoard anymore. She can't do that here. You know, just the nature of this building, it's a fire hazard. She can't do that. Or, you know, she used to, in the other apartment, the mail would come in and she would pile it up on her bed to the point where she only had like a tiny little bit at the edge of her bed where she could sleep on. She can't do that now during the pandemic, right? And she's angry with me for that. And so she would constantly hiss at me under her breath, you know, and against me and about me, and then say, oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Satan. Satan can possess people. Well, then she's accusing me of being possessed. Okay, it's me that she's... So this is kind of the manipulative crap, the twisted reasoning that these people are feeding her, and she's receptive to it. You know, they're trying to burn our family to the ground. These aren't real Christians. One of the women, too, you know, and her pastor was, we haven't spoken to him in a long time, but the one who really, when I called him for help, he turned it, twisted it back on me and made all kinds of accusations against me because I hadn't yet converted. But one of the women, you know, after we moved here, it was a few months, maybe over a year after we moved here, and my mom hadn't seen her because, you know, my mom's doctor said she had been allergic to eggs. And at one point that woman had taken my mom to a restaurant, taken her out to eat, and ordered her egg salad, or maybe she made egg salad for her. I don't know which it was. And she said, that's okay. Jesus says you're cured. You can eat it now. Well, my mom that night ended up in the hospital in extreme pain. She thought she was having a heart attack. It was a bad time. This was maybe 15 years ago-ish. Anyway, so, and that's the same woman who told my mom that God told her, the woman, that my mom was supposed to pay her bills for her, right? yeah. Great people, right? Real pillars of society, of the Christian community. My ass. Anyway, so a while after we moved here, my mom hadn't spoken to her and hadn't returned her calls, you know, and so she stopped calling, she stopped bothering us. But then one day we were talking about her out of nowhere. We hadn't talked about her, we hadn't thought about her in months. And one day we started talking about her out of nowhere. And I, you know, and this is, I think it was over a year. It was a few years after we moved here. When was it? Maybe 2 years? I don't remember. It was more than a few months. And I told my mom, this is after I learned about gang stalking. And I had known before that I was being followed. I just didn't know about the gang stalking program. And then I told my mom, we were talking about this woman, I said, you know, I think she's one of them. I think that this is part of this program. A few minutes after we started talking about her, we got a call that said she was downstairs. She had shown up. And this happened twice. Anyway, so my mom is pulling this thing again where she doesn't eat. But because, you know, she would always, now she's angry with me because the false prophet is calling again and trying to convince her that her family is going to hurt her and this and that. And, you know, and because she doesn't like the fact that I'm not letting her hoard papers and junk anymore, and I'm making her eat and all this, she's hissing at me as if I'm just this evil monster, and it's constant, and it's a studio, and she does this at night under her breath. She goes into the bathroom and does this, and I can't get away for a little while. You know, they're influencing her that way. And this is, now I can't even go out for a walk. And so today, you know, I made her breakfast. It was healthy. It was oatmeal with fruit. And she came back in, you know, she stalled in the bathroom for a while, and then she came back into the, you know, the living room, the main room. And she sits down, looks at it, and says, disgusting. And I look at her and I say, excuse me, what? And she says, oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about these politicians. Well, the thing is, I never have a way of knowing, because she said it when she looked at the food, and she'll do that a lot. She'll hiss about me or something, and then she'll make an excuse. Oh, I was talking about something else. So I never know whether she's talking about me or something else, whether she's just lying, and it's constant psychological warfare. So now I got really angry, and I blew up, and I started shouting, and I said some pretty mean things, because it's mental, it's psychological. She does this shit on purpose. You know, she wants you to always question whether she's talking about you or someone or something else. And, you know, of course, if she looks at the food and says, disgusting, well, what am I supposed to think? And then she says, oh, no, it wasn't that. You know, and I got so angry I nearly punched through a wall because my patience is worn right now because of the thumping and the constant, the pounding. It's not constant, but it's on and off, and the phone calls and the chaos. I'm on edge. I can't go out. I can't get away for a little while, and the pressure is building. It's building and building and building, and they're still trying to obliterate our family. They're infiltrating. They know what works with her, right? So they're calling. They're doing this, and I try to get to the phone calls before she can, to make sure she doesn't get those damn calls. But somehow she always does. If I'm in the bathroom or they'll call, and then she gets paranoid and suspicious of me again. But I'm the one who has to take care of her 24/7. There's no one else here to help me. So this is what the gang stalkers are doing now, and they've been doing this for a long time, long before I ever heard about gang stalking, and even before that fight online, it was a little over a decade ago, where I thought that's where the gang stalking started. Even before I knew there was gang stalking, I thought that's when the actual stalking started, when the trouble started. But they were doing this before that because she converted before that. And they were trying to turn her against her family even before that, against me, against everyone else in the family who hadn't converted. And now, of course, that I have converted to Christianity, they're looking for other excuses, and she believes them. I'm so tired, and I'm breaking down, and the pressure is building, and I'm punching walls now. God help us all.